Welcome back to my 4-part series on goal setting and how to set goals in a way that really maximizes and optimizes your chances of actually achieving those goals so you can really start seeing positive results in your life and create that positive momentum toward a creative life full of prosperity, freedom, and all of that artistic wonderfulness that you've been dreaming of your entire life. It all starts with a goal, and that's why I'm taking 4 different videos to teach you about how to set goals in a way that's really going to support you in your success. This will be one of the shorter videos. If you haven't watched part 1 yet on where I break down SMART goals, I invite you to do so because we'll actually be talking about SMART goals a little bit in this one, and I want to make sure that you really have the background and the knowledge that you need to make all of your dreams come true and live your life of purpose and prosperity in the creative arts, performing arts, whatever it is. That's what I'm all about. So today, what we're going to talk about is well-formedness conditions, the conditions in which you want to set a goal, right? So some of the things that need to be happening as you set your goal are, number 1, is it stated in the positive? It's amazing if you talk to people or maybe even ask yourself, what do you want? Listen to yourself, listen to other people, and very, very often you're going to get an answer about what people don't want in their lives, right? I don't want to weigh too much. I don't want to work in an office job for the rest of my life. I don't want to play shitty music for shitty gigs anymore. I don't want to let life pass me by. Okay, these are all really great things, but here's the thing. A little bit more on the unconscious mind. I know I keep saying that I'm going to be talking more about the unconscious mind and why it's so important to build a really important relationship with it. But here's another little hint that I'm going to drop around it. And it does not recognize negatives. So if you start focusing on what you don't want, your unconscious mind will actually start putting energy and manifesting what you don't want because it doesn't know the difference, right? It doesn't know like, oh, okay, so if she doesn't want to be working in an office job where her soul is suffocating the whole time, then that means I need to do X, Y, and Z to help her be supported in her purpose. What your unconscious mind will do is just start focusing on all those things that you don't want. Have you ever had that happen before where you're like, I don't want to see that person. I don't want this to happen to me. And then it just happens? That happens to all of us. And it's because sometimes we forget to focus on what we do want. So make sure you are focusing on exactly what you do want, right? And sometimes going through what we don't want is a really handy way of learning what what we do want, right? So like maybe in your dating history, it's like, okay, I don't want that. What do I want instead? Okay. So, is it initiated by you? And I talked about this a little bit in the previous video, part 1, where we talked about SMART goals. But is it initiated by you? Is it a goal that you want for yourself, right? Like, is it something that you're doing for yourself and no one else? Now, that doesn't mean that you accomplishing your goal isn't going to help others in their happiness and all of that, but does it start from within? For example, if you want to lose weight, is it because you're sick and tired of not feeling your best, of not looking your best? You're absolutely done with it? Or is there someone outside of you saying you should look like this or you should weigh this much? Because that will definitely cause a certain feeling of shoulding, and we don't want to be shoulding all over ourselves. It's not an effective strategy to accomplish goals. It really isn't, or an effective strategy for going through life in a really joyful and prosperous way. So we don't want to shit all over ourselves. And we want to make sure our goals are something that we truly want. It's not because I'm going to be more successful in my career so my husband will love me more. No, it's I'm going to be more successful in my career because it gives me a sense of purpose, of joy, of prosperity. And I know when I show up as my best, then that affects all involved in a really positive way, right? It has to be for you, by you, even if people around you benefit from it. All right, so I think I've said enough about that. Number 3. Now, can you create a sensory-based description of the outcome, what the goal is going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to taste like, if it is going to taste like anything, what is it going to sound like, mostly what is it going to feel like, or whatever really floats your boat. Some people are more visual, some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditory. If I'm talking to musicians here, you're probably more auditorily motivated, right? So whatever it is. And then what about the sensory description of the steps that are needed to get to that goal? So we start with the goal and then we kind of like reverse engineer what are the steps. And if we examine those steps and what those are going to feel like, many times those are going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, or they're going to feel new, or they're going to be pushing us out of our comfort zone. Because maybe we've never done it before. Most likely we've never done it before. Otherwise we wouldn't have to watch video tutorials on how to set goals so that we achieve them, because otherwise it would just be really easy. And it's going to feel a little bit scary. There's going to be a little bit of fear of like, what if this doesn't quite work out? That's okay. It's not a problem. But if we anticipate what it might look like, what it might feel like, what it might sound like, it might be a little bit more familiar. It might be a little bit easier to like keep rolling with the punches. As I said in the first video, there will be those obstacles. There will be the challenges, both internal and external. The internal ones being the fears, the like, who the hell do you think you are? You're not good enough. Why do you think you deserve this? All of that crazy shit that comes up that's not true. You deserve to live a life of purpose and prosperity with money and happiness and all of that, but I digress. Anyway, all of those obstacles, and then the outside obstacles of friends being like, wow, they're changing and that's kind of weird, or family being like, well, it's okay if you give up, and all of these weird things that start showing up when we actually go for what we're born for. Yeah, shit gets weird. So anyway, sensory anticipation of what is going to happen as we reach our goals. It might be accurate, it might not. It doesn't matter. It's just that anticipation. Again, ecological. We talked about this in the last video. Is it responsible? Is it in the greater good of your entire life, all the domains of your life? Spiritual, physical health, mental health, financial health, relationship health, family health. Is it supportive of the entire picture? And if it's not, what needs to be adjusted? What discrepancies are there? It's a really great question to come up against, because that's an opportunity for some really honest self-evaluation. So if you get to that part where it's not ecological, it's not good for the greatest whole of yourself, of your community, of your family, whatever it is, that's a really good time to dig down and do some exercises and some journaling. Okay. Now, is there more than one way to get the outcome? The more roads there are to our success, the more we can navigate if something doesn't feel right, or if something comes up, or if something's just not working for the way that we're built or the way that we really want to go about this, then the more likely it is that we will be successful, right? I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Is the first step to getting there achievable, right? So if your goal is you want to book more music gigs, what's the first step? First of all, Have you learned an instrument? I'm assuming so. What is the first step that you need to take? Because it's that first step that's going to create momentum instead of that paralysis on the couch saying like, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I'm good enough. When you start moving toward your goal and you take that first step, that's where action starts happening, and that's what we're all about here, right? It's the action. So, and then does it increase your choice in life? If you are making a goal or going after a goal that actually diminishes the possibilities of anything in your life, really, in terms of positive outcome like joy, happiness, prosperity, health, then there's going to be a discrepancy with your unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind really does have your greatest good at heart. It really, really does. So if it doesn't increase your choice, if it doesn't increase your autonomy and your own personal power in this world, then it might not be a good goal. You might want to go and reevaluate. So go ahead and take a look at, and I'll put everything in the show notes, or sorry, not the show notes, the video notes, so you can review and do the exercise. And what I want you to do is subscribe to this channel and then leave me a comment letting me know what questions you have and what really worked for you. And you guys, I know that there is strength in numbers. So if there's people in your life who you want to bring on the journey of success with you toward like creative prosperity and freedom and really create that community that we're all going after, please, please, please share this video with them, okay? All right. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and make sure you come back for part 3, where we're going to talk a little bit more about all of